1, 2, ready, go.
Just try to find out the cause of the accident.
Just tried to find out the cause of the accident.
Just try to find out the cause of the accident.
Just tried to find out the cause of the accident. Dan Grider, TTSB. It's Sunday evening, September 25, 2022, 9 p.m. Glad to have you with us in the live chat room here. Normally 1,500, sometimes as high as 1,800 people in here all at the same time. Appreciate you joining us. This is the new weekly series that I'm trying to do to catch up on fatal accidents, general aviation fatal accidents and their causes. This one is particular. I'm going to show you the video on this. This is a tragic loss. Check out this video.
24-year-old Christopher Noon and his dad, 67-year-old John Noon III, were the only two people aboard the aircraft that came down in front of a home yesterday. This afternoon, their loved ones visited the site of the crash. And Action News reporter Walter Perez live in Upper Deerfield Township tonight with that story. And Walter, tell us, Nora, what you spoke with the family members today.
That's right, Rick. And as you'd imagine, they are absolutely shattered by what happened here. Chris and John were so beloved by their family and really anybody who knew them. The family of Christopher Noon and John Noon, who was affectionately known as Moose, say there is no way to describe what those two meant to them.
These guys were one of a kind, one of a million. If you had the pleasure of meeting them and knowing them, you can attest to that.
It was yesterday afternoon when Chris and his dad went for a flight out of Bucks Airport in Upper Deerfield, New Jersey. Moments after takeoff, though, the single-engine plane did a nosedive and crashed about a quarter mile away. Neither survived.
A large piece of me went down in that plane yesterday with them. It's forever changed my life. We will never be the same.
Both John and Chris were experienced pilots. In fact, Chris, who is only 24 years old, was among the youngest staff pilots for Spirit Airlines. NTSB officials are still on the scene trying to figure out what went wrong.
We'll do a complete layout and examination of all the flight controls, tear the engine down, just try to find out the cause of the accident.
So this guy's name was Chris Noon, age 24. His father, John Noon, age 67. Very accomplished pilots, both of them. Chris, at age 24, was already a pilot for Spirit Airlines. They owned this airplane. They flew it. They lost an engine on takeoff. This is number 11. Loss of thrust on takeoff, AQP number 11. These guys were that experienced, and they're both dead. Devastated this family for forever. Take a look at how devastating this entire thing is for this family.
It's forever changed my life. We will never be the same.
The airplane was November 2716 Echo Aeronica up in New Jersey just 7 days ago. Our deepest condolences and respects to this family and their tremendous loss. Unfathomable. Father and son lost in this accident. We're going to talk about that accident in just a few minutes here. I got to press on and get a few other things taken care of. First of all, the video from last week, Shallow. I want you to know that I have this new format. Videos now only stay up about 6 days, and I take them down myself. And that's because I've gone to this new format. I want you to watch these in the first 5 or 6 days. Every 7 days, there's going to be a fresh set of general aviation fatal accidents. That's how rapidly they're happening. My music is not good. My audio is not good. I'm not very proud of the work that I'm doing, but I'm going to get you the information. I'm going to leave it up there long enough for you to see it, and then I'm going to take it right back down. That's what it's doing. Let's take a look at the data from last week's video. 1 week ago tonight, this video came out. It was called Shallow. It had to do with DPE Dave, the guy that committed suicide in Florida. A designated pilot examiner that committed suicide in Florida over his FAA treatment, and I'm gonna dive a lot deeper into that in the near future. I have been down to Florida and spent a full day with Dave's wife down there, and I can tell you after being with her, this is a sad story. This is a story that will make you so sick when you hear it. This one's bad. It's not just Dave. FAA is doing this to our designated pilot examiners across the country. They are rank and file, firing them with no recourse and no opportunity to tell their side of the story, and it's a bad deal. I'm going to get into this. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but here's the statistics from last week. Last week's video got 100,000 views in just 6 days. It got 846,000 minutes watched, which is really good. And here's the guy named Ken who made a comment, and he got 167 thumbs up. Ken, if you're copying this right now, contact me somehow, and I'll send you one of these DTSB ball caps. Thank you for comments, and thanks for joining in, everybody, and thanks for leaving comments. I read every single comment, and I actually steer the channel based on your comments, so they don't go wasted. I see every single one of them, and it works out really good, and I certainly appreciate that. Here's the new hats right here. These are the DTSB hats. I want you to know that next weekend, next Friday night, I'll be in Portland at Victor 23. That's a restaurant and brew pub up in Portland. It's the DB Cooper home of the... this restaurant and facility has taken on the DB Cooper theme. So if you look at the very end of my DB Cooper Deep Family Secrets Part 1, the very end of it, I'm in the brew pub with DB Cooper's two children, Richard and Shantae, and I'm talking to the main guy, and I ask him, what are the odds that Richard's or that DB Cooper's kids have ever been in there? And you can see that exchange. So anyway, we're going to meet with this guy again. I'll have these hats. I don't have very many of them, but I have enough. I'm going to take a bunch with me. If you would like a hat, I'll have them for sale out there in Portland, and I'll carry a few extra with me. I am getting more hats eventually, and I'll be able to offer some of those online. Next weekend, next Friday night, 6 p.m. till close at Victor 23. It's in Vancouver, just across the river from Portland. Out in the great state of Oregon, or however you want to pronounce it. And I'll be out there. If you want to stop in and say hi, I'd love to see you, get a picture taken with you. That'll be a really fun time. So put that on your calendar. You guys out there in the great Northwest, come on by and see us at Victor 23. Last week, I made a nose dragger video. I'm going to show it to you right now. This is just completely amazing. I was at an airport. I pulled out my phone and did a selfie video, and I stuck it on Facebook. It did crazy good, but I got a whole bunch of haters and a whole bunch of problems with it because a few people claimed that I was actually being legit. Check this video out. All right, folks, this is your opportunity. You guys got the tail wheel endorsements, for your tail draggers. This here is a nose dragger. You don't see these very often, but I'm going to give you a nose dragger endorsement with this airplane. You can have the coveted nose dragger endorsement via this airplane, and also I've got the new Q-tip props on here, which makes it very much faster. If you check this out, these props right here are really fast, and you can get, this is a really good airplane, and it's a rare opportunity for you to get the coveted nose dragger. Look at how high the tail is in the air. This thing is amazing. So also last week I had to go move a Beech 18. I kind of made a mistake. I alluded to the fact that this airplane has not had an annual in 11 years. What I meant was it has an annual. It hasn't been annualed for 11 years prior to that, because I went through the logbooks. It did have a fresh annual. When we flew it, it was completely legal. We went through all the steps. I had weight and balance. I had every single I dotted and T crossed. I made a very careful takeoff. I'm going to show you that footage here right now, or a little snippet of it. I'll show you a little bit more full Beech 18 video a little bit later on. But here's the takeoff, and here's a few seconds of video from in cruise.
Heat is good. Friction set. Tail wheel will be locked. And that's going to be it. I'm down to the runway items. I'm getting ready to go. Downtown traffic, Beech 8627 Alpha, departing on 26, left turn out, downtown. Any other traffic at downtown? the 8627 Alpha.
8627 Alpha, go ahead, sir.
You got a local altimeter for me?
November 27 Alpha, London altimeter 3001.
3016. Alright, so here we are in cruise, got the Beach 18 up. I don't know what you thought of that takeoff. I had a prop that wouldn't quite make takeoff power, but it was up there pretty close to it, but they were definitely mismatched. I saw it on takeoff, but it was good enough to get it in the air. It was just 50 low on one side. The main thing was they weren't matched, but it's still making plenty of RPM, well within limits. I had my abort point figured out. I had plenty of speed by the time I got to the 50% rule. 70% of rotation speed by the time you get to 50% of the runway. I had that measured out, and I had my plan B for engine failure after takeoff, where I'm going to go, how I'm going to do it. If I lose 2 inches, I'm going gear up in the river. If I lose 1, I'm going to identify, verify, tether, left-hand turn, come back around. Or I had standby on Knoxville, McGee, Tyson, declare an emergency, go straight into Tyson would probably be a better idea, so I had that ready to go if I needed it. Turns out I didn't need any of it. The engines ran good. They are running really good right now. We'll be up our 6,500 feet, halfway between Knoxville and Cincinnati. Things look really good, but this is a Beach 18. This thing was built in 1956, I believe. I love these old airplanes. Look at all these knobs. I mean, look at all these knobs. This is crazy what it takes to make this thing happen, but this is kind of a dying art, and I love these old airplanes. Beach, Lockheed, Douglas, all those old radial-powered airplanes, tail wheel airplanes are totally cool. So anyway, we're in the air, everything's good. I did not get killed on takeoff, so I will not be in Dan's weekly report.
Also this weekend, Dylan and I just got back from Triple Tree. That's in South Carolina, SC00. We just got back, had a great time. I stayed with my friends Grant and Nadia Comaneci, the famous gymnast. Not really, but I call her that. And we stayed with them at Triple Tree. I want to say thank you to all the people that stopped by and said hi. We played music both nights, Friday and Saturday night. Great food, great facility. Got to do a lot of flying. Triple Tree is totally fun. If you haven't had a chance to see it, it's totally awesome. I even got to make a jump. Wearing this hat, I got it wet. I jumped in the river because the river runs right through Triple Tree. The river's down. It's way down, so the water was not very deep, like about 3 feet. So I had to find a very select place to jump off this little ridge into the river. Dylan was supposed to do a backflip, but it wasn't deep. The water just wasn't deep enough to pull off a backflip, get all the way around and safely make it. So he opted out for the front flip. I just made a jump. Here's a video of that. Not a big deal, but the river and swimming at Triple Tree is a big thing for me, and I love doing it. Here's another success story I want to talk about real quick. This is November 31981. Check out this airplane. This story is coming as a standalone story. This is a super important story concerning rejected takeoff, RTO. And RTO is a rejected takeoff. And Justin's going to explain to you exactly the mistake that he made in his calculations and the information that he did not have. It almost killed him. He wrecked his airplane. It spilled fuel. Fuel went everywhere. It destroyed the airplane. Fortunately, both guys got out. And after the fact, Justin figured out what he did wrong. He figured out what he did not know, and he called me. We've talked through it. This is a fascinating story. He should be dead. This airplane made it up off the ground, but just barely, and it had a sick engine. It could not produce thrust. He flew this thing to the crash scene. He did not stall it, but he should not have been in the air in the first place because he blew right past his metric. His decision point on when to stop because things weren't looking right, he never even knew about it. 31981. It's a Cherokee Lance, a T-tail Lance, great airplane that is in a billion pieces now, but both guys are okay, and we're going to tell that story at some future day, but I want you to check that out. And here's another bad story. November 528 Delta Victor happened on September 20, 2022. This is a non-stabilized approach. You talk about a guy that flew a non-stabilized approach, check out this approach path. This guy's got a 7,000-foot runway. He comes down final. Look at the speed. Now look at where he touches down at. This thing had like 10 people on board this thing. They all got out. Nobody got killed. But this is a non-stabilized approach. If he would have checked 6 stabilized approach, he should have been on VREF, red over white, and everything wired a long time ago. This airplane burnt up, but they did get the door open and everybody got out, and that's a good thing. Whoever this guy is, I'm going to find his picture and put it on here. Whoever this pilot is, I'm sorry, but you should not be doing this. You destroyed a perfectly good airplane and you risked the lives of your 9 passengers flying a non-stabilized approach into this runway. Should have been a non-event. Day VFR, there's nothing wrong, and I'm really disappointed we're still flying non-stabilized approaches out there, especially in our business jets. So speaking of AQP and all that stuff, DMMS, here's a video I'm going to reference here from a friend of mine. Par for the Course has got a YouTube channel. They just put out a video at my request to explain how to set DMMS and user-defined speeds on your G1000. Check this out. I'll put it in the link. Par for the Course. Go back and watch their video on DMMS and how they've modified their Cessna 182 G1000 panel so it will properly display, and they can honor DMMS and they can honor VREF all the way around the pattern. It's a great video. Check that out. Now, Triple Tree, I've already said big shout out to my friends Nadia and Grant, but this is really a cool operation, and we did get to jump the river. Food is good. Here's some video footage of the food. We played the banjo. Everything's good. I want to do a couple quick videos here and show you. First of all, my friend Jesse has a youth program called Sky, I'm not sure what it's called, Sky Youth Program, something. They built an airplane. They're teaching kids to fly up in Knoxville. I'm going to be a big supporter of this program. I got to fly the airplane. They rolled the airplane out and pitched me the keys. I took one of the kids, some 16-year-old kid, put him in the left seat, and we made a lap around Triple Tree. Let's take a look at that video footage here. All right, down here at Triple Tree with Jesse Katz. Jesse, pleasure to see you, brother.
Yeah, man.
And tell me what this Youth Sky program deal. What is the deal with this airplane? What are you guys doing?
So the past 3 years, I've had 8 of the best kids in East Tennessee work together with our local mechanic A&P IA at the airport, and we've restored the Cessna 59 Cessna 172.
The purpose of the 59-172 is just to teach these knuckleheads how to fly.
That's right. They earn time in it throughout the program. So for every 10 hours they work with the A&Ps, which is not only working on an airplane, but they get ground school too.
Right.
They earn 1 hour flight time.
An hour flight time.
Yeah.
So you got the airplane put together. It's beautiful.
Oh, it flies great. You're going to love it.
We're fixing to fly it. I'm going to take one of these knuckleheads. We're going to go make a lap around the pattern at Triple Tree. And then, what do you think I should do in the next month or two as far as coming back to Knoxville? You got 3 that I can solo?
We're pretty close to that. 2 of them are ready, and I think we can work on the 3rd.
I think I want to go back to Knoxville. I'm going to solo 3 of their guys in one day. You do a bulk of the work, I'll do the paperwork, finish them up, we'll solo all 3 on one day.
That sounds like a plan.
That'd be cool.
I'm okay with it because this plane has manual flaps. No electric flaps. It's all good.
Well, we'll put a bushel of corn out on the runway, and I'll be very comfortable with that. As long as we have some corn in there. Jesse supplied the firewall to Matt after my corn episode up there in Illinois, so we appreciate that. It was totally awesome, and let's get this airplane in the air. Now here's another fascinating story. While I was at Triple Tree, I came across this RV with a red tail on it and got to talking with these guys. Fascinating story. You know, the movie Top Gun just came out. Top Gun isn't exactly as presented. The official first place winner of Top Gun back in 1949 was not Navy or Air Force, and it wasn't the squadron that you think it was. The Tuskegee Airmen actually placed first in the gunnery school before it was called Top Gun. They were the first place winners. They actually got a trophy. Somehow that trophy was mysteriously lost over the years, and no credit was ever given until recently when they went back and figured out what really happened. The Tuskegee Airmen were not flying the P-51s and all the nice equipment. They got stuck flying the junk, and they still won, which is kind of cool. I'm an underdog fan. These guys pulled it out, and they got first place. It's a little known fact, but if you're ever going to watch Top Gun, keep in mind where the Top Gun boys actually came from in the first place. It wasn't what you think it is. Tuskegee Airmen actually pulled this off first, and I'm kind of proud of that. With my friend James and Scott, this is a real unique airplane. I'm going to show it to you real quick. But this is a red tail RV6 built in honor of the Tuskegee Airmen, and a fascinating story that I just learned here, courtesy of James. Top Gun, you've seen the movie, the new movie. Top Gun was not originally won by anybody except the original class from 1949. The Tuskegee Airmen actually won it before there was a Navy Top Gun. Air Force actually won this thing in 1949, didn't they?
Yes, the very first one.
And somehow the award and the plaque mysteriously got lost. Kind of suspicious to me until recently. And in that class was Army Air Corps, before there was Air Force and Navy, but in that class, the top gunnery school was the school that competed for this competition. It's what eventually evolved into the Top Gun School, correct?
Correct.
And now, Scott, this is your airplane. You built it, and you painted this thing in honor of the red tail history and story. So tell me about your involvement in building this airplane.
Well, yeah, I got this airplane a long time ago. It took me 20 years to complete it, and James and I have been friends for a long time, and we got talking about paint schemes and Tuskegee and how that they didn't get recognized for what they really should have gotten recognized for, and how good a job they did. And I had no problems painting my airplane, matching their colors, and as a tribute to those guys.
You did a great job, and then you had this thing up at Oshkosh, and the name of the guy that signed this thing.
Lieutenant Colonel James Harvey.
There you go. And show me on the airplane where he signed this.
Right this way.
Let's check this out. This guy actually is one of the last remaining Tuskegee airmen. And so he was at Oshkosh.
I asked him to sign it where it wouldn't get damaged, and he got himself up in it and to sign it. He did a great job. He was a very nice guy. Very honored to have him come there.
Yeah,
About 100 years old.
Yeah, about 100 years old.
That's amazing. Well, I appreciate you guys. We're going to use this little clip for something, but that's a story that I did not know, and I'm always interested in backstories like this. That's a fascinating one, and I'm going to get some mileage out of this. It's a story of people that were underdogs and not given the credit that they deserve, and I'm fully on board with those kind of things. This far after the fact, figuring out what really happened. Yeah, is a cool deal.
And flying lesser airplanes at the time.
Flying lesser airplanes. They didn't get the P-51s. No. They got the garbage.
the P-40s and 47s.
They had to do their deal with less training and less equipment, and the first award went to them. That's significant to me. Yeah. And I appreciate it. Thank you both, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got to go fly on a Cub out at Triple Tree, and here's a little bit of footage from flying in the Cub. We just went out and screwed around a little bit and totally fun. Got to do a lot of flying. I can only put in a few little clips here. Here's a clip. We did make one pass in the water to fly down here and check out and see if this was possible to land on this thing with a float plane and come in. Here's our landing in the Cub. That was on wheels, but lots of float planes use this same approach and go into the same little body of water up there.
You got it. Looking good. This is what I like to do. God, this is awesome. Oh, man, look at this. You can get a full plate here. I come in and settle in right here. Here we go. Sure you don't want to fly, Dan? No, you're good, man. You got it. I love it. Take a quick look at final there. Make sure. Yeah. Make sure you're good there. Oh, that's beautiful. There's nobody out here, man. Just you and me. I think I'm in a relationship with you. Yeah. Starting now. I'm putting it on Facebook. This is so awesome.
All right, so let's go over the accident data. You know, I cover these things every 7 days. So here's my September cheat sheet. September 25, we've already had 24 fatal accidents. We were batting one a day for a little while here, but I'm going to go over them. And if you notice the line above here, this is the ones that I did not capture from last week because at the time I made last week's video, I didn't know about it. November 646RV was an RV6 out in Arizona. Very strange case. Ron Barba, age 61, and his wife died in that crash. I'm still looking into this. I've got a couple suspicions. They were at 7,000 feet is the last known data point that we had on them. Very suspicious crash. Day VFR, and I'm looking at that one. The Sonics 255 Bravo Fox in Colorado involved in the midair collision with the 172 November 2117 Yankee. I did mention that last week. I incorrectly said that it was in the traffic pattern. This was not in the traffic pattern. This is in the practice area out away from the airport. But one airplane was doing a steep turn. The other was flying along. I really don't have very much more information on this other than the fact that one was in a steep turn. They obviously did not see each other until the last second. All three people in that crash are dead. Both airplanes are done. And I'm not sure what we could do better on that other than I've had several suggestions about procedures in the practice area, checking in, have a separate practice area frequency, which I think is a good idea, and announcing on a frequency who you are, what altitude you're at, and what maneuvers you're doing, so that other people in the same very busy practice area can know where you're at. Let's think about that. Might possibly help that in the future. I'm not sure if anybody out here has some experience with a practice area, published practice area frequency. I'm thinking that might be a good idea. Here's the next one. It is November 129 Mike. That's the L29 out in Reno. Last Sunday, a week ago today, that's Aaron Hogue, age 61, that crashed that airplane. I'm not a aerobatic or a racer guy, but the information that I had says that he probably G-locked or grayed out or went unconscious in the turn. I'm not sure if he tried to cut the corner on the pylon or saw that he was going to cut the corner on a pylon. In any case, he did rack that thing over extra hard, spun to the outside, and then tried to regain his position by pulling extra hard. You're flying around that course already at some crazy, insane amount of G's. They're not wearing G suits. When this guy pulled extra hard, he definitely lost control. I know there was a little piece flew off the airplane. I'm not convinced if the piece flew off as the result of him overspeeding the airplane after he passed out, or if the piece flew off the airplane which caused it to overspeed. I don't know. In any case, there was definitely a pylon transgression there somehow, and he did pull extra hard. I don't think he was actually conscious when the airplane hit the earth. I just don't think it was. I'll be willing to listen to your opinion on that because I'm not much of a race guy or a jet race guy or anything stuff like that. I simply don't do that stuff. I'm not opposed to it. I just that's just not my thing, and I honestly I know very little about it. Here's the next one. This is November 2716 Echo. This is the Champ that we started the video with in New Jersey. What a tragic accident. I just want you to know that these two very experienced guys, if they lost their lives in this accident due to a loss of thrust on takeoff, I talked to the guy that heard this engine quit. It stopped. And you know what they did? They pulled back and they stalled it. They spun it. This airplane hit vertical and it's over. Both guys dead. If they did it and they're that good and that experienced, what about you? Are you going to be ready for this? Have you practiced these AQP maneuvers? Have you even thought about them? AQP is scenario-based, not maneuvers. This scenario that they got handed is not in your FAA publications. It's not there. I want you to know that. I want you to be ready for it. I want you to go out and practice. Set up a phugoid oscillation and do a whole bunch of these. Do 20 of these things in a row. Nose up, chop the power, nose down, get light in the seat. Lower the nose, get DMMS, look for a place to land. That's your engine loss of thrust on takeoff procedure. Not be surprised and pull back on the stick. If you do that, there's no doubt I'm going to make a video about you. That's all it is, and you're definitely going to be dead. We got to stop some of these because they're the exact same thing over and over again. The last two on here for this week, there's actually only 3 since last Sunday night. So that was 2716 Echo. November 3283 November was a sport in North Carolina. I have no idea. One person died in that. I don't know who it was, and I don't know what happened. And then the other one is in the state of Oregon. Flew into a wildlife area out there. One person dead. I don't have an N number or a name. I've got nothing on this thing. I've scoured the web. I can't figure out anything about it. Maybe by next week we'll know a little bit more about it, but that's all I got. So I want you to know that these hats are available, and they're going to be available. Come see me in Portland on Friday night. I'm also going to make it to Pettigene State Park Saturday night. I'm hoping to make a parachute jump out of a paraglider. It's a contraption. It's a parachute. It's a powered parachute, but it holds 2 people. So I've always wanted to do this. If I can make it out to Pettigene State Park, here's the Facebook page for those guys. Good bunch of guys. They're going to be out there for the weekend, actually out there for like 2 or 3 days. They're pretty good. I've got one picked out that I think I would jump. I'd like to fly one of these because I know very little about the whole powered parachute world myself, but I think it would be fun to do. I'm going to wear a parachute while flying the parachute, and if I can get a couple grand, I am definitely leaving this thing in a manner that you have probably never seen before, and it should be fun. I'm going to try to get out there on Saturday evening, so Pettigene State Park. If I don't make it, going out there and say hi to those guys anyway, but if I roll in there, it'll probably be about 3 o'clock in the afternoon with my parachute packed and ready to jump on board a powered parachute and just get me up above the airport a little bit. Should be great. Got to get out of here. Got to get this thing up and on the air. Thanks for joining us in the chat room. Don't forget my airborne animal rescue theme here. Sliding me $1 or $2 via any one of these 4 right here. Zoom, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. Any one of the 4 will work just fine, and it's electronic. It's totally safe, and I appreciate that. It gives me a little bit of incentive to keep on doing this because frankly, it's extremely time-consuming to collect this footage and shoot it and all that stuff. Got to get out of here. I'm going to get Dylan in here with a guitar. I haven't even thought of what we're going to play, but we got to crank this thing out. We're going to grab a couple of guitars and throw something on here and get something going here. From a tiny little itty-bitty fledgling YouTube channel, Guitars Next, Dan Drider, DTSB. All right, so what did you think of our camp trip?
It was fun. It was a good weekend.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Which part did you like the best? The river?
Yeah, the river was great. Did you put that video in there?
I did.
Did you put the clip in there? Okay.
I'll put it in there. Good. I didn't get your front flip in there because
you didn't get my front flip.
You didn't.
I did do my front flip. You didn't put it in there.
I did. Let's lay down like a 20-second intro at a slower speed. We're gonna do this thing in A, and I'll count it off, and we'll do it a little bit faster speed. But I gotta have a 20-second blip to go at the very beginning. So let's do it. Let's do it slow first, and then we'll go fast.
I'm trying to figure something out.
1, it's an A. 1, 2, ready, go. Cut that at the very beginning. I'll leave that at the beginning. Now let's do it the rest of the time. 1, 2, ready, go. So much for that audience, right? Let's do the other tempo. amateur. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Ready, go.